The first week was perfect. He didn't bark. He didn't chew the furniture, but he had this habit. He wouldn't sleep. Every time I woke up in the middle of the night to get water, I would find him standing in the hallway, staring at my bedroom door, not guiding it, just watching. Hello everyone, you're welcome to my channel. If today is the first time you're coming across this channel, you're welcome. So what I basically do in this channel is that we read and listen to animal horrors. So if you're kind of person that likes animal combined with horrors, then this channel will be the best for you to subscribe to. That being said, let's get into that talk. The title of today's animal horrors is going to be The Quiet Roommate. Let's start with chapter 1, the adoption. It started with a hole in my life after the breakup. The silence in my apartment was heavy, almost physical. I went to the local shelter looking for a distraction. That is where I found Ben. He was a massive mist, huge and charcoal gray, sitting perfectly still in the back of a cage while the other dogs lost their mind barking. The volunteer told me he was uncommonly observant. I thought that meant he was smart. I didn't realize it meant he was studying me. The first week was perfect. He didn't bark, he didn't chew the furniture, but he had this habit. He wouldn't sleep. Every night I woke up in the middle of the night to get water. I would find him standing in the hallway, staring at my bedroom door, not guiding it, just watching. Chapter 2, the Mimicry. By the second month, things shifted from query to wrong. Okay. It started with the foodstuff. I would be in the kitchen and hear the heavy thump of a person walking upstairs. I lived alone. I would run up, and there Ben would be, sitting in the center of the guest room. He tells, giving one slow licklet. Thump, 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 thump against the floorboard. Then came the sound. One evening, I heard my own voice. It was faint, coming from the living room. The specific high pitch. Hey buddy, I use when I come home. I froze. I walked onto the room and Ben was sitting on the rug. His jaw was slightly unhinged, his throat vibrating. He wasn't barking, he was practicing. Okay, it's getting more creepy. Chapter 3, the diet. Ben stopped eating his dog food. I would put down the expensive raw beef. He would just let it rot. I started finding gifts on my pillow. Not dead birds or mice. One morning, it was single pristine human suit. The next day, a wedding ring I didn't recognize. The third day, I found a clump of long blonde hair wet with saliva. I tried to take him back to the shelter, but when I grabbed his collar, he didn't grow. He leaned in and whispered, actually whispered my name. It sounded like a recording played through a broken speaker. My ears buckled. I didn't leave the house that day. I realized I wasn't his owner. Instead, I was his project. Okay. Chapter 4. The Transformation. It has been 3 days since I locked myself in the attic. I can hear him downstairs. He is not walking on 4 legs anymore. I can hear the sound of joints popping and stretching, the wet sound of skin tearing. As something too large tries to fit into a shape it wasn't meant. Okay, hope you guys are understanding this story because I'm getting tired right now. You can imagine something trying to tear something that it was not meant. Okay, let's continue. The worst part isn't the scratching at the trap door. It is the conversation. He is outside right now, talking to a neighbor through the front window. He sounds exactly like me. He is telling them I am just feeling under the weather. He is laughing at a joke he never made. It is a perfect laugh. I am looking at the small attic window, wondering if I would survive the jump. That means the writer wants to jump. Let's see if he's going to survive. But then I see it. A massive, gray, colorless pal with 5 distinct human-like fingers gripping the edge of the roof. Okay, I'm getting scared. He didn't want it. Wanted a life. And mine is the one he chose. Okay guys, this is where the story ends. Tell me what you got from the story. Write what you were able to get from the story because right now I'm scared. Yeah, that was the end of the story. Bye. And then from the hallway, I heard the sound of my husband's voice, snoring. Sarah, Leo, let us in. It is time for dinner. This is another story. So I hope the other one you loved it. So this one is even more creepy and more horror. Like it will leave a goosebump on your skin. So that being said, let's get into the video that we have. The title of this story is The Cradle Snatcher. Chapter 1. We didn't found Balthazar. Instead, he found us. It was a Tuesday in October, the kind of night where the fog cringed to the pavement like a shroud. I was 7 months pregnant with Leo. My husband, Mark, was working late, and the silence of our home was beginning to feel heavy. Then I had it. A scratching at the back door, not a frantic crying, but a polite little tap. When I opened the door, there he was, a man Coon or something like one. He was massive, his fur a matted silver gray that looked like a wood smoke. His eyes weren't the usual pelagic yellow. They were a pale, milky blue, like cattlers, but he saw me just that. "Hey there, big guy," I whispered. He didn't meow. He just walked in. Tail hit high and tied directly on the rock in the center of the nursery we had finished just days before. For the first week, he was the perfect pet, but there was hostilities. Balthazar didn't eat the expensive thermoplasty I bought him. He didn't touch the dry cable. I assumed he was catching mice in the basement. He grew larger. Within 14 days, he went from crawling strain to a 25-pound beast. And mind you that Balthazar was not eating, and yet he was getting heavier. So the question now is, what is Balthazar eating that made him get heavier? Are you curious? Because right now I'm curious. Let's find out. But it was the way he looked at my stomach that started the itch in my mind. He wouldn't curl up in my lap. He would press his ear against my belly and paw. It wasn't a normal paw. It was deep, vibrating through my spine, sounding less like a cat and more like a low frequency hum of a heavy machine. Chapter 2 says the best silence. The first tragedy happened next door. The scientists had just brought home little Sophie. She was a miracle baby. 5 years of IVF finally realized. I was on the porch when the ambulance arrived. Marian Sanjeev was being laid out. Her face a mask of primal grief. "She is just gone," Maria kept screaming. The crib was empty. The window was locked, but she was gone. The question now is, who is gone? Who is gone? Let's see who is gone. The police ruled it a kidnapping, though there were no signs of forced entry. I sat on my sofa, trembling, clutching my stomach. Balthazar jumped up beside me. He smelled different. Usually, He smelled like a rain and a dust. But today, he smelled like a copper, like a penny hid in a warm palm. I looked at his mouth. There was a small white smudge on his whisker. I reached out to wipe it away, thinking it was a milk. It wasn't. It was a tiny, downy bit of white fabric, a thread from a baby's onesie. Balthazar, I whispered. He looked at me, his pupils dilating until his eyes were solid black void. He licked his lips. He licked his lips with a tongue that was too long, far too long. And for a split second, I thought I saw his jaw unhinge, his mouth opening wider than a cat's skull should allow. Then he blinked, and he was just a cat again. Chapter 3. The Hunger. Leah was born on a cold November morning. When we brought him home, the house felt different. It felt like a pantry. Balthazar changed the moment he crossed the threshold. He no longer hid in the shadows. He sat at the nursery door, constant, unblinking. Mark thought it was sweet. He is protecting his little brother, Mark would say, patting the cat's massive head. But I saw the way Balthazar's skin moved. Okay guys, let's speak. Because right now I'm getting scared. Have you ever seen a snake digest a meal? How the fluid moves slowly through the body. Balthazar's plans were always broken. Sometimes, when the house was quiet, I would hear a sound from the living room where the cat slept. It sounded like a muffle, a high-pitched cry. I would run out, thinking it was real, only to find Balthazar sitting in the dark, his stomach churning under his paw. Then, the neighbor on the other side, with his gabble, lost her grandson while she was babysitting. The same story, a locked room and empty Swaddle. I began to stay awake. I moved Leo's basket into our room and bolted the door. That night, I heard it. Click, 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 click. The sound of cross on the hard wood. Then the sound of door top turning. A cat cannot turn a doorknob, but Balthazar wasn't just a cat. I looked at the gap on the door. I saw a shadow, long, thin and pale, stretched across the carpet. It looked like a human finger, elongated and multi-jointed, reaching through the crack. Chapter 5. Chapter 5 says, the camera. I didn't tell Mike. He would think I had a postpartum psychosis. Instead, I bought a hidden nanny camera. I tucked it into a bookshelf facing the grave. The next morning, I checked the footage and fast forward through the hours of grainy black and white film until I hit 3:15 a.m. On the screen, the nursery door, which I had blocked, slowly cracked open. Balthazar walked like a cat. He was standing on his hind legs, his body stretching, his spine cracking like dry kindling as he grew to 4 feet and then 5 feet tall. He approached the grave. He didn't use his cross. His face began to pale. The cat's mask split down the middle, leaving a pale, wet, featureless face underneath. No nose, just a massive, circular mouth line with thousands of middle teeth. He leaned over Leo. I screamed in the living room, dropping my laptop. On the video, the creature paused. It turned its head towards the camera. It didn't have eyes, but it knew I was watching. It reached out a long, gray tongue and licked the lens. The screen went black. Okay guys, this story is getting more scarier. Let's eat. Let's eat. Let's continue. I ran to the nursery. The door was wide open. The room was freezing. I lunged for the grip, my heart stopping. But Leo was there. He was crying. Balthazar was sitting in the corner, looking like a normal cat king. But he was shivering. He looked bloated. His belly was distant to the size of a basketball. He let out a breath-hacking cough, and there on the log, he vomited up a small saliva ladled. It was the ladled Mrs. Debble's grandson had been holding when he disappeared. So guys, what I'm understanding here is that those disappearing babies was Balthazar's doing. It was Balthazar that was taking those children. Let's see what happened next. Was he eating them? What was he doing with those babies? Let's see what happened. Chapter 5. The Transformation. I grabbed Leo. I didn't grab a bag or my shoe. I just ran for the front door. Mark, we have to go now, I screamed. Mark came out of the bedroom, but he was moving slowly. There's the cat, he mumbled. The cat is so heavy, Sarah. I tried to move him, and he is so heavy. I looked towards the kitchen. Balthazar was no longer it. He was a grey mass of fur and flesh, spreading across the linoleum like a ruptured bean bag. He was growing, absorbing the shadows, his skin stretching so thin. I could see things moving inside him. Small, hand-shaped imprint pushed against his stomach from the inside. "Mark, let's get out!" I shouted. But the cat, the thing, opened its mouth and it didn't meow. Instead, okay, it used Sophia's voice. You remember Sophia, Sandine's first daughter that they had through IVF, the one that just disappeared. That means this creature was using Sophia's voice. It used Sophia's voice. "Mama!" Then it used Gable's baby's cry. Finally, it shifted into a perfect, terrifying imitation of Mark's voice. That is Sarah's husband. It is now using Sarah's husband's voice. "Stay, Sarah. We are almost through." I didn't look back. I sprinted to the car. I buckled Leo into his seat and drove. I drove until the sun came up. I called the police, but when they arrived, the house was empty. No mark, no cat, just a trail of silver fall leading into the crawl space under the house, and a pile of tiny, empty baby clothes stacked neatly in the center of the kitchen floor. I live in high-rise now. That means Sarah has stacked from that house, and she's now living in a new house. But then, before we continue, let's eat. I live in a high-rise now. That means Sarah is now living in a new house. She has packed out from that old haunted house. Now she's now living in a new house. No pets and no trees near the windows. For some time, late at night, I heard a sound at the door. Not a scratch, but instead a polite little tap. And then, from the hallway, I heard the sound of my husband's voice, yawning. "Sarah, Leo, let us in. It is time for dinner," the voice will shout. Okay, guys, this is where the story ends. The question now is, do you think that Sarah is safe? Do you think that Balthazar have left? Do you think that Balthazar have left Sarah in peace? Or do you think that Balthazar is still after Sarah and Leo? What do you think? That is the question you should answer on the comment section. That is the end of this story. Bye bye.